first thing I want to do, of course, is talk about the assets of this team. We've got the players in Enable, Slacked, Octane, Apathy, and Karma. And those are their players. They got their coach Nubsy, and I think they got Proto and Pander as their substitutes. I'm not going to really talk about the substitutes today, but I want to talk about their assets. What does this team have that other teams don't have? Well, um, this team has 50 championships in it, and I know other teams have maybe more than 50 championships, but this team has 50 championships together. And the funny thing is, of course, half of those belong to one person, which is what I'll say is their second asset, Damon Karma Barlow. This dude is a beast. He is he has won more money than any console first person shooter player in history, including more than his teammate Crimsix, who has almost 10 more championships than he does, because he is the only three-time COD champ winner. And I'm going to say it, I got to say it. He could be a four-time championship winner. We don't know. We never got to see because he actually missed champs. And it really boggles my mind how someone who won two championships didn't get to play in COD champs in World War II. But nevertheless, that's for a different video. Another asset that this team has is that these guys have played and won together. That these players in different mixes, you've got Octane playing with Enable and playing with Slacked. And honestly, Slack's best career finishes have been playing with Octane. When Octane left Slacked, it was like, I mean, last year for most of these players is something that none of them want to remember. It's like, let's just act like it didn't happen, especially for like Apathy and Slack. Like those two guys are like, we don't even want to talk about Black Ops 4. Like we don't even want to talk about last year. We're focusing forward on Modern Warfare. And so those, I believe, are the assets of this team. And I'm gonna look at the players real quick and some of the notes I took on the players and see if I want to mention anything. Um, Karma's part of course, the greatest COD roster ever, playing from April of 2015 all the way to October of 2019. And if you want to see what it looks like, just go to CODpedia, go down to AW under his name for placings, and just scroll up. And you'll just see one, 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 one. It's ridiculous. But the amazing thing about Karma is he's not a one-trick pony. If you scroll down in the other direction and you go back to like Black Ops 2, you'll see one, 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 one. Karma has been a part of every dynasty in COD esports. And it's kind of ridiculous to think about that this guy was on Impact, that this guy was on Colon EG, and that this guy was on Optic Gaming. And nobody else can say that because Crimsix wasn't a part of that, and that's why Karma has won more money than Crimsix. Karma's won almost $100,000 more than Scump. Like Karma is the goat. He, of course, he's married to Holly. We all know and love Holly. She's great in the community, and his daughter Bella. They're all amazing, and he is the only Canadian to win a world championship. And the only reason I mention that is because this team is owned by a Canadian organization. Enable has won events in Halo Reach, Halo 4, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, World War II, and Black Ops 4. Of course, after Formal, he's the second person to come on and win multiple events in multiple console esports. Of course, I believe Hook has as well, but I think Enable was the second person to do it. Enable's won in a lot of different ways, and the cool thing about Enable is he's missing a thumb from since he was 2 years old. And if you want to be encouraged that no matter what you can be a competitive gamer, look at Enable. Like this dude is just a G. And in his last 5 events, he's placed top 6, including, of course, second at champs, and he was also second at champs in World War II. And I know for Enable, he wants to get a chip this year. He wants to win champs. Octane is arguably the MVP of this team. He has been called a turret. Octane's shot is ridiculous. We all know that. And for what it's worth, Octane has played in Seattle before, along with all these other players. And one of my most memorable moments with Octane is most of you, if you follow me on Twitter, when Optic was playing LG for their worst placing and the placing that broke up the dynasty when they played in Seattle. I was at the event and they didn't broadcast that match. And so I showed it on my phone and I broadcast it to Twitter. Thousands of people were watching it. And I could see that Octane knew he was going to end up on Optic Gaming. And I could see that his teammates knew he was going to end up on Optic Gaming. And I could see that Optic Gaming knew he was going to end up on Optic Gaming. They knew the dynasty was over. Like I barely talked to Hitch. Me and Hitch have only seen each other twice in our lives in person. The first time we went out to eat, we talked to each other the whole time. We were connecting a lot. This time it was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I could just tell on Hitch's face it was bad. It was all bad. I didn't get to see Hector because he left after that. Like it was that was a rough event, and I hope that bringing Call of Duty franchise to Seattle changes what the memory that Seattle has for Call of Duty esports. And the reason I bring that up for Octane is because I believe that he shouldn't have gone to Optic. I believe that one of the worst decisions of Octane's career, now his personal career going to Optic was probably good because he got a lot of followers and all that kind of stuff. But I believe that going to Optic changed his career and trajectory in a way that, maybe he didn't. I mean, he just wasn't successful there, and it was kind of like this blip, it was like this weird moment where, but I never believed that he belonged on that team, this roster, this is an Octane roster, in my opinion. This is a good roster for Octane. And when I do the grading and stuff like that, I'll mention why. He easily is one of the top assault rifle players in Call of Duty. We don't even have to talk about it. And he's teamed with Apathy, Slacked, and Enable before, so he's gonna get to play with people that he's played with before. There's a lot of chemistry between him and Slack that could really benefit this team. Uh, Slacked, he's placed most consistent when playing with Octane on Rise and LG. And last year, like I said, he doesn't want to remember it. And then lastly, my dude Apathy. I love Apathy. I absolutely. I wish he was moving to Seattle. I don't think it's happening, but I love Apathy, and I'm excited for you, App. If you see this video, in less than 90 days, you're gonna have a baby, and as a dad of three kids, and you've got a teammate that's got you know a kid, and everybody calls your team the Seattle Dads, because you guys have the oldest roster in Call of Duty esports right now. But I think that can benefit this team. You know, Apathy is that guy that when I think about him, probably the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I just think about Apathy at Champs, and I think that's where he turns up. Apathy has had years where he hasn't really placed top three, and then all of a sudden at Champs he'll get a W or he'll get second place. You know what I'm saying? He's got first at World War II Champs with EG, second at Infinite Warfare Champs with Envy, first at Black Ops 3 Champs with Envy, and he's won an event with Karma. And so I feel like App is a good fit for this team. And then Nubsy, the coach, he coached the Gen G team that just came out of nowhere and was really, really good. And so I hope that means a lot for this roster. That being said, I think that's all I want to say about the players. So my overall grade for this team, and you guys can fight with me in the comments. My overall grade for this team is a B. I give this roster a B. And the average placing, the highs and lows, maybe will outline why I gave them a B. But I'll just say overall, I think this is a top six team. I think they have the potential to be scary. I think that they put a good roster together. They made the most of the roster changes and they got Karma. Like getting Karma is a win. Now, for Karma personally, I don't think this is necessarily the roster he thought he'd end up on. This to me almost seems like when Karma ended up on that Envy roster after he left. I think it was Impact back in the day. And he ended up on that Envy roster, and it just wasn't a good fit for Karma. And so we'll see how this works out for him. And I want to wait till land. I don't want to talk about practice. I'm gonna use my what do you call it, my Allen Iverson talk practice. We talking about practice. So I'm not gonna talk about scrims and all that kind of stuff, but we'll see when land happens this month. I'm so excited for land to happen, and I'm happy that there's going to be a homestead or two here in Seattle, and I'm going to get to play. Not play. I wish. I'm going to get to go to, and I'm going to get to attend and see some of these players. So the average placing that I'm guessing for this team is 5. That's my guess for their average placing. And I know for a lot of you guys, you're probably like, that's high, bro. That is high. But I think this is that team that can consistently break top six, make a nice losers bracket run. But I think what's going to happen with this team is at a few events, they're going to knock off one or two of the bigger teams, Atlanta or Chicago, like they're gonna knock off Dallas or somebody. They're gonna kick somebody in the losers bracket, not knock them out of the tournament, but they'll kick them to the losers bracket, and that'll get them a top six finish. And so I think their average placing is gonna be 5. And I know that for you guys, you think that's generous, but I don't know how roster trades and all that is gonna happen this year. But if it does, this is a team that I believe will maybe make a change. And so I'm counting that their average placing is going to be for the entire year, not just like right now with this team. So the highs and lows that I'm predicting for this team this year. The highs that they'll win a tournament. I believe that the Seattle Surge will win at least one tournament this year. I think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to have fun winning, and that's a high for this team. And this team is going to have to lean into that, because I think that this is the kind of team like when Octane is winning. He's not only good to play with, he's good to be around. He's good to, he just smiles and laughs. And when he's frying, I'm premium gas. Just gas him up, gas him up, gas him up. And everybody around him is going to play better when he's frying. And I think this is that type of team when everybody's playing well, when Octane is playing well, everybody's going to play well. Um, I think that they're going to make some exciting plays on land, and I think that's going to be one of their highs is that they're going to have great content when it comes to their actual gameplay. I think Karma is going to get some three pieces, and Octane is going to just fry some people and get some 40 bombs and ridiculous KDs, and it's just going to be he's going to MVP an event or something like that. And then the last high that I have for this team is that they're unpredictable. This is a team, they're kind of like, I'm trying to think of, my dude Landon always uses NBA teams because, like me, he loves the NBA. And I'm trying to think of a team that is much like this team where they're just, I'll say the Portland Trailblazers. The only thing you can predict about the Portland Trailblazers is that they're not going to get any farther than the second round of the playoffs. Even with Carmelo playing great this year. But you can't predict if they're going to beat Dallas or LA, Clippers or Lakers, or if they're going to beat Giannis and the Bucks. You can't predict because I mean, sometimes when it's about Dame time, things just happen. This dude, like the game they had the other day, or Dame is just Damian Lillard is just dropping threes, gets them into the game, and then Carmelo Anthony hits the game winner. Like it's an unpredictable team, and this is going to be an unpredictable team. People are it's like a sleeper team, and that is a high in my opinion because that means other teams aren't going to plan on how to play them. Like people plan teams. They see that they're going to play the Lakers in 3 weeks, and they have a person that they probably dedicate to watching gameplay. Okay, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? How can we stop one of these two stars, LeBron or AD? And I think it's not going to be like that for this team. Other teams are not going to look at this team. They're going to look at like Atlanta and figure out, okay, what do we do with these tiny terrors, this young team that just fries? Like, how do we beat these guys? Like, what do we do about Dallas? With the gas that Crim6 and Clayster are giving these young guys, and they can just sit back and turn it up, and these young guys run around and just annihilate us. Like, there's actual strategy. Like, how are we going to play the Huntsman? I don't think a lot of teams are going to be like, how are we going to beat the Seattle Surge? They're going to think, oh, we can just outgun them. And then they're going to get shocked. They're going to get surprised. And I think the unpredictability is a high for this team. The lows for this team, in my humble opinion, is that a few times they're going to lose really badly. Like they're going to lose badly. And this is the type of team where losing poorly is going to challenge how they place in the next event. And it's going to challenge how they play online and how they practice and how they scrim and the mood of the team. And I've said it before, I will say it again. Competitive gaming, sports in general, is in no way, shape, or form limited to athletic and physical ability and skill. I don't care how good your thumbs are. When you lose, it sucks. And when you lose badly, you have to blame someone. And that is why I think that their other low is if Octane has a bad event. And that may be the one or two events where they place really low is because Octane just isn't frying that day. Like he's just in a bad mood, Um, he got up on the wrong side of the bed, like whatever it is. Right now he's talking a lot about stocks. Like, let's say he loses some money in the stock market, like whatever. Like, if Octane plays poorly, and that's it for me, the two lows of this team are Octane playing poorly, and because of that, they're going to lose badly a few times. And when they lose badly a few times, um, how are they going to pull it back together? Now, here's where my advice comes in. And my advice is based almost solely on preventing the lows and enhancing the highs. And to revisit, I said that the highs were that they'll win a tournament, they'll have fun winning, they're going to make some exciting plays on land, and they're very unpredictable. Number one, they have to solidify their team leader and their in-game leader. And when I say solidify, I don't mean just talk about it. I don't mean try someone out. I mean, and maybe that's Nubsy's job, is like they need to decide who is going to be the leader of this team. And in my opinion, and from what I know, this could be a really good opportunity for Octane to lead, to not just fry and not just play, but to actually be like a leader and to cheer on his team and to cheer on the players, almost like like LeBron does with his people. Like, and I'm not saying that Octane is LeBron because you have Karma on the team, who's won way more money and championships than Octane. But I'm I think that this is a good opportunity for Octane as the best player on the team right now. I think that this is a good opportunity for him to lead and to step up and show some leadership ability. And then for the in-game leadership piece, I don't know who would do that, Slacked or Enable, maybe even Apathy in some game modes. But I think all of that has to be solidified for this team to be successful and to prevent them from losing badly. And to prevent losing badly for the Seattle Surge should be a critical something that Nubsy is paying attention to. Like, even if we lose, how can I make sure that we don't lose poorly? Well, you got to clearly define roles and not in-game roles only. Teams that only define in-game roles, they miss the mark because when you only define in-game roles, then who steps up? Like, who steps up when we need somebody to talk, when we need somebody to kind of gas us up, when you can have a coach and he can say, come on guys, we can do it. But if there's nobody on the team, on the sticks, that's playing, that's getting dominated or beat by another team, that's going to step up and encourage and use that premium, Aches or Clayster gas, or Scump when Scump wants to get on the market, say, come on guys, or Formal, like he'll rally up the team even if it's negative. Like, if you don't have that person, it's going to be challenging. Um, and this one is interesting, this next piece of advice for me, but I kind of can define why I say it. But I think that they need to create a local fan base and connect to other Seattle teams. I don't know what other teams are doing, but I know that Dallas Empire has other esports organizations um, that are in Dallas, that are housed in Dallas, and Envy has existed for so long, of course, the Huntsmen, they have all these different teams, Energy has all these different teams, and I mean, it's Hector, like he's gonna build a family, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that one of the best things that this Seattle team can do for their players to make sure that they have fun winning, that they have something else to focus on. And even when they have a bad event, if they have hundreds of people showing up to get autographs and hundreds of people buying jerseys and hundreds of people watching their videos and being in their streams and saying, hey, I'm from Seattle and I'm so happy we have a team. Like, I think that building a fan base and connecting with the other Seattle teams, like the Seahawks, like the Sounders, like let me tell you what, we have some of the greatest fans in the world. Ever since we won that Super Bowl and, we got Russell Wilson, like we have some of the best fans in the world. And the Sounders, the Seattle Sounders, oh my gosh. I don't think, I think you'd have to go to Mexico to see people that love soccer or aka football as much as these Seattle Sounders fans, of which my uncle is a season ticket holder, and a lot of people that I know. That's actually what I wish that I could help with, and I actually hit up the team. I sent emails, I texted, tweeted, DM'd, and I'm still trying because I would love to just take my feet and go to GameStop and grab Apathy one weekend or Enable one weekend or Octane one weekend or Karma one weekend or bring Karma and Holly and the whole family down and let people meet them, let people play against them, let people get their autograph. Like, um, I could take them to an event where they can speak about, and be interviewed about, and I put them on the local news here in Seattle, connect them with players from the teams up here in Seattle. Like, I would love for that to be my job, to create that local fan base. And I think the team will be more successful as a result, not just now, but in the future. They paid 20 some million dollars for this organization. They probably should try to create a fan base in the city where the organization is supposed to live. I know that they're housed in Canada, but it's a Seattle team. And so that's just my 2 cents. And then lastly, I think intentional out of game fun and connecting. And that kind of falls in with the fan base piece. But and I think this is maybe where Enable can, because with the Oak Boys and all that kind of stuff, and what I've seen Enable do as part of 100 Thieves, and he just seems like a really fun, loving guy, and Enable seems like he's just, he's made the most of his life. Thumbless, he don't care. He's made the most of his life, and he has a lot of fun on the sticks, and he has a lot of fun with his teammates. And I think creating some intentional out of game fun and connecting like you see all these other organizations doing, I think that's important for this team if they want to be successful. So that is my review of the Seattle Surge. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this team? What would you grade this team and why? And what do you think their average placing is going to be? What do you think they need to watch out for? And if you disagree with anything I said, let me know. Also, what team do you want me to do next? Nevertheless, this is your boy Kingdom, and I'll see you guys in the next video.